For our project, we're doing Ho-Chunk COVID-19 issues.
The Ho-Chunk Nation is currently positioned mostly in Wisconsin, but also other states that include Illinois, Minnesota, Iowa, and Missouri. This is considered the Northeast Culture Area, as it was once called the Red Banks of Wisconsin, now currently sitting where Green Bay, Wisconsin is. The Ho-Chunk Reservation tend to settle around the Great Lakes, including Lake Michigan. Today, the Ho-Chunk's headquarters is currently located in Black River Falls, Wisconsin, which is located just southwest of the center point in Wisconsin. This is also where all the main decisions are made for the Ho-Chunk Nation. This nation was once known as the Winnebago, but have grown to be called the Ho-Chunk Nation as we know today. As you can see by the maps, the majority of the Ho-Chunk Nation is settled in Wisconsin as it is closest to Lake Michigan. Some tribes tail off into Illinois as well as Iowa. Ho-Chunk Nation owns land in 14 counties in Wisconsin, which include Adams, Clark, Crawford, Dane, Eau Claire, Jackson, Juneau, La Crosse, Marathon, Monroe, Sauk, Shawano, Vernon, as well as Wood. These counties and also land in the state of Illinois. COVID-19 is affecting all of these locations. It is affecting the entire world. The Ho-Chunk is doing what they can in order to calm the spread of the virus.
The Ho-Chunk, originally known as the Winnebago, are a tribe that was discovered in Wisconsin in the 1630s, shortly after French contact. When the Ho-Chunk encountered the French adventurer Jean Nicolet in 1634, they made their first contact with the Europeans. They lived with their Algonquian-speaking neighbors, the Menominee, in the Green Bay region and Fox River Valley during this time. After the French arrived, it was a challenging time for the Ho-Chunk Nation. They were forced to be moved off their land. They also suffered starvation, disease, and war with other tribes. The numbers of the tribe went to about 5,000 to about 700 after this. After this era, the Ho-Chunk Nation started to recover. Many Ho-Chunk people moved to the northern part of Wisconsin by the Wisconsin River in the 1830s. In 1832, the Ho-Chunks ceded further property in the southern part of Wisconsin to the federal government, and individuals who lived on this land, ceded territories were scheduled to be relocated to neutral ground in eastern Iowa. The majority of Ho-Chunk the majority of the Ho-Chunk tribe had just been relocated to the northern part of the Wisconsin River. Even with this, they frequently returned to their old homes in the ceded land for brief periods of time. In 1837, the Ho-Chunk and United States signed another treaty ceding all of their territories in Wisconsin. At this time, whites wanted the Ho-Chunk completely gone from Wisconsin. The federal government had one last attempt to get the Ho-Chunk out of Wisconsin, but by the 1880s, the government had decided to switch this up and to give the Ho-Chunk people 40-acre farms and remained in Wisconsin. The Ho-Chunk people were found in two sections of the state, the Black River Falls region in the west and the Wittenberg area in the east. Ho-Chunk tribal members worked as migratory agricultural laborers, picking blueberries, strawberries, cranberries, and cherries in the late 1800s and early 1900s. Then they moved for the winter into camps by the Mississippi River to hunt and trap. They also got together for dances, ceremonies, and lacrosse games during this time. Many Ho-Chunk people moved in the years followed. For many years, religious divisions caused problems for the Ho-Chunk, causing tribal conflicts. Around the same time, the Ho-Chunk's economic situation began to shift. Some Ho-Chunk people went to Door County to work on white-owned farms during the harvest season, and many of them were able to supplement their own income by selling baskets and other crafts on roadside stalls as a result of the increased automobile ownership. Others worked in the dells to sell art and other unique Ho-Chunk items to make a living. The federal government did not recognize the Wisconsin branch of Ho-Chunk Nation as a sovereign Indian tribe at this time. This changed in 1934, however, when Congress passed the Indian Reorganization Act, which granted federal recognition to, and tribal authority to tribes like the Wisconsin Ho-Chunk. The Indian Claims Commission Act was passed 12 years later, with the goal of compensating Indian tribes for claims they had made against the U.S. government. In 1949, the Wisconsin Ho-Chunk created a claims committee to have their grievances heard, and this body provided the foundation for this current tribal administration. The committee renamed the Wisconsin Winnebago The committee was renamed to the Wisconsin-Winnebago Business Committee in 1961, and it was charged with writing a tribal constitution, which tribal members overwhelmingly adopted in 1963. The tribe received recognition and sovereignty from their own federal government the same year, thanks to the terms of the Indian Reorganization Act. Since then, the tribe has purchased around 554 acres of land in Wisconsin Dells, Tomah, and the Black Rivers Fall area for tribal housing. This is in addition to the 3,673 acres purchased as homesteads by tribal members in the 1870s and 1880s. The tribe's official name was changed to Ho-Chunk in November 1994.
As we all know, the COVID-19 virus is a big deal that is affecting people around the world. COVID-19 is a respiratory illness that has caused many to get sick since it has been in existence. This virus is caused by a type of virus called coronavirus, as many of us know. This illness was first discovered in China and has made its way around the globe, including right here in Wisconsin. On January 31st, 2020, the Health and Human Service Secretary declared a public health emergency for all of the United States. COVID-19, since it has came from China, has spread rapidly, causing many to get sick and even die. COVID-19 has spread throughout many tribes, causing tribal members to get sick and also die. Out of the 7,849 members, 965 have tested positive with the virus, along with 20 members even dying.
The COVID-19 pandemic started spreading throughout the United States in early 2020. There was a massive panic and people did not know what to do. So there hasn't been a pandemic like this for a very long time, and many people have not lived through a pandemic. This applies to everyone, including Native people, and in this case, the Ho-Chunk people. After COVID hit, many different orders were set in place to try and stop the spread of the virus / slow the curve for people getting infected so hospitals weren't overwhelmed. There were stay-at-home orders and closures for non-essential businesses. Native regions / areas also had stay-at-home orders and different policies put in place to help protect their people. After a year after this, a vaccine was developed and they started to distribute the vaccine. Since then, everyone, including natives, have been pushing for people to get the vaccine so people will not get as sick. COVID hit Native communities especially hard. Almost 1/8 of the population were ill with COVID at some point at one time or another. This overall caused a lot of tribal populations to suffer deeply, as some tribe populations are already scarce as it is, so COVID-19 was even more destructive to Native tribes. This could also be very bad as some tribes get a low enough population, and this could cause some tribes to lose some of their culture and maybe some of their history in the same time. Native ceremonies were also affected as social distancing rules and lockdowns were they didn't allow these to happen, which is difficult due to the fact that gatherings are very important in Ho-Chunk Native culture.
Ho-Chunk Nation is doing many things to keep members safe from the virus. One of the major moves that has happened with the Ho-Chunk Nation declaring the Stay-at-Home Act. A legislature, resolution, and administrative order was passed by the Ho-Chunk Nation legislature and president on the Tuesday, March 31st, declaring that people should stay home to limit exposure to the virus. A joint legislative resolution and administrative order has been passed for the first time in Ho-Chunk history. The joint resolution and administration order states that limited and controlled departures from the house are allowed if certain precautions are taken. Those reasons are 1. To perform essential governmental functions, to work at essential businesses and operations, to do minimum basic operations for non-essential businesses and essential travel, all of which is defined in that order. 2. To obtain services at or to work for health care and public health operations, certain human services operations, or essential infrastructure. 3. To perform tasks that are essential to health and safety, such as obtaining medical supplies or medication, seeking emergency services, or visiting a healthcare professional. 4. To obtain necessary services or supplies such as food, gasoline, pet supplies, and other household consumer products. 5. To engage in outdoor activity as long as they maintain social distancing. And finally, 6. To care for family members, friends, or pets in other households, and to transport family members, friends, or pets as allowed under the order. People can help stop the spread by maintaining 6 feet apart, washing hands, covering coughs and sneezes, cleaning surfaces, not touching each other, and following health regulations.